Welcome. If you've never been here before, my name is Janie Hill, and this is our 5th week to do Zoom classes since I'm not traveling and teaching in person, and which I may never do again. These have been hugely successful, and tonight is going to be no exception. If you were with us last week, you heard Kenzie Lovingood talk about the gut, and it was just like over the top, and tonight's going to be really, really good with our joint health. And this is how I kind of roll out here. I like to do like an overview, and I'm going to tell you that we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to show you this, and so you can have a feel for joints and the joints that are in your body. I'm going to explain about joints. We're going to do some interesting facts about joints, and then we're going to get right into the health of the joint. Let me get off this. The invitation to this class, if everybody saw it, God, why do I get things on and can't get them off? This is pitiful. Okay, I'm trying to get this man off here. You might have to look at him all night. I don't know. I hope not. Tina, can you get this man off?
No, ma'am, I don't have control of your computer.
Well, could you get control of it?
You want to find the stop sharing button.
I can't even find the buttons. Oh, yeah. Hello. Who said that? Thank you very much. Okay. I like to do a little explanation of the joints. I like to give you some interesting facts about the joints, and then we're only going to talk about the synovial joints tonight. There are many different types of joints, but the synovial joints are the one that we have most interest in when we're talking about health. And so those are the ones we're going to emphasize tonight, and we're going to talk about some of the conditions that affect your joints. How to avoid them, what to do if you get them, and we're going to keep everything on the up and up, as I try very hard always, as you know, to be compliant. Okay. Hey, Melissa, the invitation to this class was gave all the great information. It was talked about bones and joints. It's all the interesting facts that I would have normally, and I just put it in the invitation, to the meeting. It's this guy, if you saw him, this is the invitation, and of the interesting facts tonight are more than half of all chronic conditions have something to do with the joint. It's 30%.
I can't see you. I'm seeing a gentleman. Am I doing something wrong?
Well, maybe he's better to look at. Don't be complaining. Where is he? I'll look at him too. I'm here. You see me?
No.
Anybody see me?
I see you. I can.
I don't see you. Let me go to you. And
I don't
I'm on the first page.
Don't see you.
Oh, well, I don't know what to do about that.
If y'all tap your screen, you should have a little circle that has gallery view on it. Take that off and put it on speaker view, and then you'll see the person that's talking. Switch to speaker view.
Thank you, Sheila.
You're welcome.
Hey, we check it in. I'm moving on. 29% of all workplace injuries are joint related, and it costs 440 million lost work days a year. It's huge. It's just huge. Bones and joints are just huge. We're just going to focus on joints tonight, because that's all we can do is we can't do bones and joints together. We're going to talk about joints, and because they're significant. There are a few things that factor into who has the most opportunity to end up with a joint problem, joint condition, or a joint diagnosis, because there is a whole group of these. And a lot of it has to do with in your inheritance. And I know a lot of people like to say that about lots of diseases, and you wouldn't have thought it about this one, but there is. One of the biggest joint problems there is, and I'm going to list them in a minute, is rheumatoid arthritis, and that is definitely an inherited type, genetic, handed down condition. Another big issue is age. Makes sense. Joints tend to wear down as you get older, and it is the number one arthritic condition. And that we're going to do a lot of talk about that. That is osteoarthritis, and it's definitely related to age is the first factor. Another factor after inheritance and age, I love this one. It's been a negative for everything we've talked about. When we talked about the immune system, the respiratory system, the GI system, about the cell, every health issue, this is a factor. And so joints is no different. And that is, I'm gonna say this a little more tactfully tonight. Body mass. Body mass is a big factor in joint conditions and joint diseases. What is that? Obesity, being fat, has a lot to do with it, okay? It's actually number 3. Another big indicator for joint problems and disease is work conditions. Makes a lot of sense. If you're lifting, if you're loading trucks, or you're twisting and you're turning, assembly line workers have lots of joint problems. They're usually upper body, but they play a large number of joint conditions that we deal with. Squatting, lifting, running. These are all things that will increase your chances to have something go wrong in your joints. And big factor, and it was listed as number 5 actually in the list of reasons for having joint dysfunction, is your gender. And this is going to shock you, because I was even shocked about this. What gender do you think has more joint conditions than any other? It's not Tom Gonnering. It's not males. Females.
Yep.
Give me a break. Come on. Give me a break. Females have more joint problems than men. You think about it. Don't you think about old rickety old men on their cane and everything? I'm really upset about the gender deal, but it is what it is. So, those are the main reasons that people have difficulty with their joints, is those very things. Then some of the outliers are infection, and who would have thunk that infection goes into your joints and sets up joint conditions. Smoking is a huge factor. The statistics show that smokers, along with a lot of other things, are the most likely group of people to have issues with their joints. I couldn't really, I'm not going to say I couldn't find the correlation. I just couldn't take the time actually to look for what is that correlation. Is it something in the cigarette smoke? Is it one of the chemicals in there that irritates the joints? Or is it the fact that smokers don't pay a dang bit of attention to what they're doing, and maybe they're in more accidents? I'm not actually certain why, but smokers have more joint problems. Okay, now what we're going to talk about is the leading problems with the joints, and everybody knows what that is, and that's arthritis. Arthritis in itself is not a diagnosis. And I'm going to tell you this because when somebody talks to you about arthritis, or your doctor talks to you about arthritis, you're going to be smarter than the average cat. That's not a diagnosis. Arthritis is a group of symptoms, okay? And the group is just labeled with a term. It has to do with an area being stiff, painful, swollen, limited movement. That's arthritis, okay? What you want to know is, hey, doc, what type of arthritis do I have? And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, but you want him to say it, okay? You want him to say it. You don't want to say, hey, I was on a Zoom call and I learned this. But the three biggies, and this is all the one we're going to talk about tonight, is osteoarthritis, okay? Rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis. I'm going to touch, I said three, but I'm not always honest, because I'm going to talk about a real ankylosing spondylosis, which is a form of arthritis, and it's referred to as AS. And then there's another that I want to talk to, because I have people call me about this one, and that is gout. Gout is a form of arthritis. So there's actually five, but the majority of diagnosis of arthritis fit in osteo, rheumatoid, or sciatic. I'm going to tell you about that first, since I can't say it. How do you say it?
Psoriatic.
Sorry, I'm going to say psych, like psych. It's psoriatic. Psoriatic arthritis affects the skin as well as joints, and you will see it with people who have cirrhosis. People that have cirrhosis have this very type of arthritis, but you cannot have psoriasis and still have this. It is different from other arthritis in that usually there are nodules associated with this arthritis, and the nodules will be close to joints. So if you're having joint discomfort and there's little knots around the joint, that's most likely your diagnosis. And it's one of the most difficult ones to deal with. It does also have a lot of hereditary overlay. So if your grandma or your mom or someone in your family had this, be watching. Be watching. If you begin to have some joint discomfort, see if there's any nodules. Uh-oh. Something's happening to my screen. I don't know. Am I still here?
Yes, you are.
Okay, it's asking me to sign in again. But let's talk about the osteoarthritis, because that's the number two. 27 million people in the United States have this arthritis. It's probably considered one of the most common arthritis, and who, you know,
Janie, I think
think about it. What is it?
Share screen.
What?
I think you just hit your share screen because you went away and you're sharing your screen again.
I'm looking at, you are viewing Hope's screen. I don't want to view Hope's screen, although I bet it's nice. And now for somehow I got on her screen. Hope, it must be, is it Hope Rubio? I don't know, but I don't have any option but to, I don't know. Sheila?
Yeah.
I've got a sign in page showing up.
But that's just a shared screen. If you stop sharing your screen again, like you did when the skeleton was up, you should go back to the big view again. You should have a button that says stop share, stop screen share.
I don't have that option anymore. It disappeared.
Bottom.
It's not that share screen's on the bottom, but I don't have an option for stop sharing anymore. Okay, here we go. So osteoarthritis is what? The number one replacement in the world. That's the knee. That's what affects the knee. Osteoarthritis. Okay, you hear people talk about bone on bone. My knees are bone on bone. My pain is horrible. That get the total knees, that's these folks. They got the osteoarthritis. arthritis. And surprisingly, as many women have it as men. And it causes rubbing, bones rub, which hence the pain. It also causes bone spurs, which is overgrowth of that in that joint area. And those spurs hurt. That's why people have so much difficulty. And it's a wear and tear arthritis. It's a wear and tear joint condition. You can overuse it. You can abuse it. It can be injured, or you can just get older and wear that joint out. In that joint is something very special that we're going to talk about, and that is a bursa. Anybody ever had bursitis? If you've had it, you remember it, because I'm telling you, sister, it is not fun. It hurts. Bursitis is in the bursa, and bursas are in joints. So if you had a bursitis, it was inside a joint cavity. And synovial joints are the only ones that have bursa in them. And I think I have a little picture. God forbid that I try to share it. Oh my God, there's the skeleton still up there. Anybody see a bursa? Picture of a bursa?
Nope.
Okay. You know, we're going to forget pictures at some point on this presentations until I get a little bit better. Okay. The bursa covers both ends of the bones. Joints are not formed unless they're two bones that come to a meeting, and that inside the meeting is the joint. And covering synovial joints is bursa. And bursa is a very strong, fibrous, connective tissue that has fluid, and it's synovial fluid. You've had seen or had or know about people who've had fluid removed. Sometimes that's actually from the synovial joint, bursa, and the fluid was removed. Synovial fluid is the cushion. So bursas are lined with sponge-like. They're strong, they're tough, they're fibrous, but they're also porous. And the bursa is porous, and inside the bursa is a thick fluid. This thick fluid is what cushions you. This is the cushion between the joints. And the bursa is surrounded by cartilage, and that is what wears out as you get older, or you overuse, or you abuse. It's the cartilage that connects the bursa, and the bursa is filled with the fluid that keeps you from hurting when your joints come together. They're similar to a sponge. At night, the synovial fluid is sucked into the pads of the bursa, and during the day when you're awake and your joints touch, the liquid is released. Okay, what is that liquid? It's called synovial fluid. It comes from the blood system. It is another reason that you must stay hydrated. One of those 5,000 reasons that we've already talked about is to give enough fluid in your bursa to support your joints. Okay, that can get inflamed, and that's your bursitis. Yes, it's in your joint, but it's not joint pain. It's bursitis that lines your joint and the cartilage therein. So you see that in osteoarthritis when doctors look at the x-ray and they say, there's no cartilage here, okay? There's no cartilage. That means there is no cushion, there is no bursa, the bone is just touching the bone. And that's a very, very painful thing. And it's the number one reason that people get new joints. You can have that also in your shoulder, but knees are the most prominent. Another type of arthritis is the rheumatoid arthritis. And it's kind of divided between men and women, and it is absolutely positively genetically driven, and more women tend to get it than men. And you've seen it when you see little crumpled fingers, little fingers with the little knots in the joints. That's the rheumatoid arthritis. It is probably the most crippling of all the arthritis, and it is absolutely diagnosed with a blood test. An elevated ANA says to your doctor, "Oh gosh, she has rheumatoid arthritis." It is autoimmune driven. Autoimmune driven. So back to our class on the autoimmune system. Keep that system healthy. Another reason. You don't want any arthritis that is autoimmune driven. So that's, you have a less chance of getting that than you do osteo from wear and tear. But spondylosis, arthritis, is what people get in their back most often, most frequently, and it's called SA, and it too comes with age. And when you see X-rays, there's things between the vertebrae, and the doctor will say, "Oh my goodness, you have a spondylosis arthritis." It can attack at any age, and it is attacking now earlier than ever before. It causes stiffness, it causes pain, it will eventually cause some fusion. And in the population over 50, it's the number 1 reason that pain medication is given for the back. Not herniated disc and not sciatica, but SA, that inflammatory condition that gets in between your vertebrae that causes the spondylosis arthritis is the number 1 reason that medication is given for the diagnosis of arthritis. It's kind of scary. I have a good bit of that in my back, and I've had it for years. My brother had it. I'm sure that my mother and daddy did. Of course, we didn't know it because they didn't have back X-rays. But it also tends to run in families. So that's something you want to find out maybe from your parents. So the last type of joint dysfunction I want to talk about is gout. And this one is a little different, but raise your hand if you know gout. I'm looking for raised hands. Who knows gout? Sheila knows gout. Who knows gout? Raise your hand. Anybody know gout? Michelle Holder, you know gout? Anybody know gout? Pat Starnes? Golly, y'all. Oh, well, I got a lot of names and not many pictures tonight. I am very disappointed, people. I really wanted to see you. I'll let you see me. Gout is extremely painful. Extremely painful. Remember me telling you about the, for some reason, I can't remember why we were talking about this, but we were talking about kidney stones. We were talking about it in the immune system or some system or something about kidney stones and how that is horrendous pain, especially with men. Gout is the very same way. When you get gout in a joint, and it's usually your big toe, but not always. You can have it in your ankle and you can have it in other areas of the body. The pain is terrific. Uric crystals leave the bloodstream and go into the joint, and they settle right there in the bursa, in the cartilage where things should be moving smooth and padded. The dang crystals get in there. And it's like a needle, okay, jabbing your eyeball every time you move. This pain is so horrific that many times people have to be hospitalized. Carrie had it right after we were first married, and I recognized it. His toe became red. He started to complain, and then the next morning, I couldn't walk in the bedroom. I shook the floor, okay? Talking moved the air. It hurt him. Don't let the sheet touch me. The pain was over the top. I mean, it was over the top. He has eliminated that, hasn't had it in a long, long time, and he drank a good bit of aloe vera. And if you don't know aloe vera liquid, it's a good something to drink. Not as good as Ninja or Zing or some of those, but it's a very good health drink, and Ninja will help remove the crystals from the joints, as well as K and B and lemon. But it's a very, very painful. It's very, very painful. It's always your hands and your feet, okay? Because gout affects cooler extremities, and those extremities are, of course, your cool ones. If you warm your feet and hands up, the gout's not nearly as bad. Of course, it's still there, but it's that cool temperature that really, really can set you off with the gout. So watch the gout. It was historically called rich man's disease because it comes from the digestion. The uric acids come from purines that are in red meat and that are in shellfish. And in the day, only the rich ate red meat and shellfish. And now we also know good alcohol causes purines. That won't be a problem for me. My alcohol is not that good. But very, very high dollar alcohols produce purines in the bloodstream. Red meat. Eat you some lobster and a steak and drink you a very high dollar wine or drink you a very expensive alcohol. Chances are you could wake up with a gout the next morning. It's classical. It's very, very classical. And one of the diet inhibitions is decrease the red meat, stop the alcohol. Okay, quit being rich, quit eating lobster. Okay, just get you some collard greens and some good vegetables and get rid of your gout. But that's a real interesting yet very painful joint condition. Okay, now so we know about the three most common types of arthritis. We really know 5 types of arthritis. They're all inflammation related. Every one of them are inflammation related. All joints, all 6 of the synovial joints have fluid. They have bursa. And the 2 that we know the best are, of course, hips. Okay, hips are synovial, and they're called what are they called? Help me. Pivot. They rotate shoulders and knees, and they're also the very ones that can pop out. Okay, you can pop out. You can pop out your knee, but your diagnosis is usually ACL or meniscus. But when you pop out a shoulder or a hip, that's a ball and socket kind of joint, and it does have balls on it, and the balls actually come out of the socket. They're held in by tendons and ligaments, and they come out. Other joints, let me get this list in front of me so I won't miss it. Hinge joint. Hinge joint is your elbow. It works just like a hinge, hence it's called the hinge joint. It flexes and extends, but it doesn't have any kind of ball. You can't twist it all the way around. It's a hinge kind of joint. Hence tennis elbow. Why? Constant, repetitive working of the hinge affects the joint in the elbow. Tennis elbow. Tennis elbow. The pivotal joints, the ball and socket joint, like I said, is the hip and the shoulder, and you can have major problems with both of these areas. Why? They're bigger. Much more goes on in your hips and in your shoulders than in your elbow. I think probably you could have an elbow condition, which would be the number 1 arthritic condition of most Americans, with this movement. We all overeat. Okay? If your elbow gets sore and you don't play tennis, think about dieting. That might be a nice thing to do also. Some joints will just go from side to side, and the joints that are in your foot are flat and they're stacked, and they don't do anything. They don't do anything. It's hard to get much in the top of your foot, joint-wise. There is a little bursa there, and there is a little bit of fluid, but mainly you're just going back and forth. You're going back and forth. And it's not nearly as much opportunity. It's called plain joint, and they're just kind of flat. Not very interesting. Not very interesting at all. But they can all be injured, and there's just good sense that we need to take. I'm going to let Tom speak here for a minute. I'm going to try to get some pictures straightened out, which I may or may not be able to do. If we don't, they're going to all be posted in Oils Away, and you can see the pictures of the different kinds of joints. The bursa, I've got pictures of bursas. I've got different joints, several interesting little pictures, and I'll post them all in Young Living, or maybe Tina can figure out a way to do this. She's the smart one. I'm the pretty one. She's the smart one. But our next speaker is he's fairly pretty and fairly smart. But the main thing he is, and he sent me an introduction, which I'm going to do some of this. But you know what? I told you I had somebody that was like an expert in joints, and was going to really be able to help us out a little bit. I've known Tom and Laura Gonnering since I've known Laura since she wasn't a Gonnering. And I've known Tom since the minute he gave her his name, even before, because they happened to have been married in my house. So,
Yeah.
yes, at the beach house. So needless to say, they're my friends in love. Long before Young Living, long before Essential Oils. And Tom's a 68-year-old young guy, great husband, great father, great grandfather. His hobby is... what did he say? How do you say? Hobby is powerlifting, bench press, deadlift. Smart.
And you saw it in Las Vegas.
I know. I had to follow him out there to make sure. He holds 15 state records, 5 world records. He's a member of the Alabama Hall of Fame, member of the World Association of WABDL Powerlifting Federation. He's just the king of everything. And he was that when I first met him. He was also broke down. He was also had I don't know how many shoulder surgeries. And from day one, I'm like, how stupid do you have to be to keep doing this motion when your shoulders are not good? And then, praise the Lord, 6 years ago, Laura Gonnering, who is probably the third person that I ever talked to about Young Living products. Because God only knows her husband needed something, because he wasn't smart enough to quit lifting, and he had so many surgeries. I think, now he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think since he started Young Living products, he's not had but one shoulder, right, Tom? One shoulder operation?
I don't think I've had any surgery. Well, no, I've had.
Yes, you had one.
I think I had one. Yeah.
Yeah, because we did the pain bomb.
Yeah.
For Tom when you say pain bomb.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And but this is what the difference that using Young Living products have made in a person who overuses his joints. And Tom's going to tell his story, and it's just a fantastic story. I know it to be true because he kept bringing in trophies, telling me how great he was and all these awards. And so here and I just flew out to Las Vegas, bought a ticket, rented a hotel room, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to see if this is the real deal. And I sat right there in the chair while he won a world record with a Young Living shirt on. So without any more ado, I'm going to get Tom on here, or Tina, get Tom on here so he can share with us some excitement. Okay. Love you, Tom Gonnering.
Thank you. Now ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one thing we're going to talk about today, for sure, the only thing, and for me personally, as a weightlifter, is not just the muscles that I'm worried about, it's the joints, because the movement of the joints is, can be painful. And you have over 200 joints. So this is part of what my daily routine is, and has been really since we got into these oils. I take a truckload of them every day. I use a Cool rub. I take peppermint, sacred frankincense, copaiba, clove, citrus fresh, lemongrass, lemons, cedarwood, clary sage, and mister, and diffuse eucalyptus every day. So I take 4 drops of each one every day, plus the protein, plus all the vitamins, the B, the C, the multivitamin. So I really are nourishing my body and the joints. When you're powerlifting, you're not just concerned about how much you're going to hurt the day after you lift. You're trying to get to a pain-free position before the lift so you can actually concentrate on what you're doing. When you have as much, I guess, of a hobby that requires 100% of your energy, you have to be in good shape. And most people do this. What is in shape? Am I skinny enough? Am I heavy enough? Do I eat enough? Do I have enough protein? Do I have enough carbohydrates? Well, you got to do all of it. You can't just be 300 pounds and have 50 pounds of fat on you. You have to kind of work and sculpt yourself to the lift that you're trying to work with. Now, one thing, and Janie mentioned this today about eating for joints and inflammation, is less beef, less sugar, the best you can. And there are dozens of diets online. But the best thing you can do really is this, is do the Young Living supplements, all the oils, and exercise moderately. Now, what I do as a power lifter, I don't go to the gym 3 days a week and work out till I pass out. I work out hard one time every 2 weeks. That's it. Everything else is kind of fill in. I do a little bit of exercise. I keep the muscles moving. And as far as a joint, the joints in your shoulders, and mine are actually pretty good. They've been really good. No big problems. My lower back, and I have some osteoarthritis. I went to the doctor years ago. And what I'm trying to do is this. I'm trying to keep moving as the doctor says. And everything I've read on it, arthritis is a movement style thing. You have to help cure, not cure, I guess the wrong word, to help yourself moving. If you sit down and say, look, I'm going to sit here and rest for 3 days so I'll feel better in 3 days. Well, 3 days, you won't be able to move. When you get up in the morning, your joints, and she mentioned all these different complicated things in your joints. But what happens is this that I read is that actually the hydration of your joints, they're in competition with your bone marrow, which I didn't know that either. So if you're a little low on water, and like today, I've already taken 5 Ninja packs and about a gallon of water. It was really hot outside. So the first part of my water goes to my bone marrow to supply my body, my butt. And then if there's any left over, then the joints get it. So you got to have it pumped up. And there's no way around that. I mean, you can talk about it and think about it, but unless you take the oils and the proteins and all these other things and nourish your body properly, it's like an engine. A car will run better on high test fuel, and a car is nothing compared to the human body God gave us, that's for sure. So you always want to, hydrate things properly, take the proper nutrition. And I had another little list of things that I thought were really good, and then I'll kind of wind up with this thing. But exercise, along with proper nutrition, with essential oils and supplements, are the only way to reach any kind of goals at all, period. There's not going to be. Every pound you gain or lose, it adds 4 pounds of pressure to your knee or removes 4 pounds of pressure. So if you gain 10 pounds, doesn't matter if it's muscle or fat, 40 pounds of pressure on your knee, which is a ton. We're talking about also the blood circulation that gets to all these joints, all these little parts. Every person has, as far as I can tell, the thing I researched, 60,000 miles of blood vessels in your body, an average body. And for every pound of fat that you gain, your body adds 7 miles of blood vessels. Now, they're small, I'll give you that. But that's how that works out. It's about as small as you can get. And an older person, you can gain a lot of strength. And it's not just by exercising. It's also by proper nutrition. I go to the gym 3 days a week with my wife, Laura. Oh, she's also a world champion. But as you're at the gym working out, and as you're exercising, you try to do minimal damage at the gym. You don't do the extreme. You don't do something you say, hey, I feel good today. Let me throw an extra 50 pounds on there and rip my guts out. That's not what you want. You always do it under control. You try to decide on what you do at the gym before you get there. And as you get older, your body is not working properly. Like if I ate a meal exactly the same nutrients as a 20-year-old, my body is probably getting only 60% of the nutrients that a 20-year-old gets. But my body just doesn't work the same. So I need all the help I can get. Essential oils and the supplements with minimal exercise can improve your quality of life. You don't have to go to a gym and lift weights. You can lay in a rug at your house. You can roll around. You can twist. You use your joints minimally. You don't try to rip them out. I've seen a lot of guys that go to the gym and they try to do these extreme movements that is moving the ligaments and tendons out of place. I mean, it's not good. So you never want to do that. You have to have a strong immune system, and that fights all this arthritis, Janie, I talked about. Your immune system will be built up. I take at least $500 a month of these oils. Now, that seems like a huge amount, but let me tell you what. As they say, I'm worth it. I have a body, one that God gave me, and I worked in the restaurant business for 40 years and walked 40 miles a day, and I've really not had many knee problems or feet problems. So I'm genetically good there. But if you don't take the proper nutrients, your body cannot work properly. Also, all these oils and stuff, it's a better mental alertness. I use peppermint first thing in the morning. Matter of fact, I do all these first thing in the morning. I try to take a big sniff of that stuff. I think it's helped me. I don't know. As far as I can tell. Let's see here. Your general health can only be accomplished to be made better by you. You can't live with somebody and have their health rub off on you. They get a bowl of ice cream, you don't have to have it. They eat steak 5 days a week, you don't have to have it. You have to work at what you think and what you studied will make your body healthy and produce the results that, like what I have. I've been in over 100 weightlifting competitions and probably won 90. And that's all over this country on a world level with really strong people. And it doesn't matter when you walk up to a guy that's a 60-year-old plumber or a farmer and you shake hands with him and he bought crunches of your fingers because he's been working for 50 years in a farm. And that's your competition you have. You don't run up against people that are kind of weak like that. And also, the last two things I have is this. The classification, Janie mentioned being overweight. 70% of our country is overweight. 40% of our country is classified as obese. That's a problem. So I suggest this, that you would get involved with what is important to you. You don't have to have a sport. You don't have to go to a gym. You could loosen up for 15 minutes on a rug at your house and have results within a couple of weeks. You just have to keep moving. The less you do, the less your body does. The more you expect out of your body, the more you press it, the more efficient it is. That's it. I don't hear you.
Questions for Tom, anybody? Now you can type them in here on the chat board, or you can unmute yourself and ask him directly. My question to him was, if you have pain in your joints, what do you use, Tom?
I use the Cool Azul rub and an ice pack.
Okay.
All the time. The Cool Azul, when I had my, I think my second or third shoulder surgery, we just got in this oil business with you, and you said, hey, try this Cool Azul. And let me tell you something. Laura would rub that on my shoulder and back in related areas, down my lat, across my outside delt and pec. And let me tell you, I could feel my body like that relaxing. It is so good. We use a couple tubes a month. I love it. It's the best thing there is that I've ever seen.
Actually, before Cool Azul, we were using the aroma cities and coconut oil and copaiba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Tom, can you look at the chats and answer those questions? Can you see them?
What is the best
exercise for shoulders?
Well, the shoulders are extremely complicated. There are like 18 different muscles in there, and it depends what you want, what muscle you want. If you want your outside delt, if you want your front deltoid, or your rear, or your traps. There's, like I said, it's all connected. The best thing to really do at a gym is this. Get a small weight, like 3-pounders. You can buy them at Academy Sports, and you can stand in your room, and any movement you'll do very easily and slowly, no quick jerky, no heavy, to move your shoulder. I guess I can't be in this thing. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah,
but
hold it back.
I can show you just a couple things like this. Just on the outside of your shoulders, take your little weights on your hands and raise your arms up. I got a chair here. Very easily to the outside. That's the outside deltoid. Now you have to. That's great for a width of your shoulders. Your front deltoid. You'll see a lot of older people. her shoulders are very narrow and very small. That's because those deltoid, the outside delt, and rear delt they're small muscles to start with. But it's the only thing that lifts and raises your arm. If you don't have that deltoid, your arm wouldn't go up at all. So raising up to about ear height like this, then to the outside. And then I would also do some shrugs like this. Just pull your shoulders up to your ears. Like this. Those are little movements that are easy. But if you do this for a couple weeks, you'll notice a little more freedom, a little more latitude, I guess, muscles in your shoulders. Because what happens is this. If you don't use a muscle, it literally shrinks. It gets smaller. It's like the average person over 60 cannot touch their toes unless you bend your leg. Yeah. Well, if you practice at it, going and touching your toes, eventually you will. You just got without ripping you off. You keep doing that for weeks, very lightly, very low weight, low rep, maybe a 3-pound weight for a set of 10. It's just 10 reps. And then just keep doing it. It'll absolutely change your shoulders, and it'll change everything you're doing with them. Because you drive a car for 6 hours. You don't think that's hard, but your body's beat to death. I mean, holding that thing and feeling the vibration on that wheel, it'll help you on that also. Yes, I love my wife. Who asked that? Yes, I love my wife. No.
Hey, Laura's quite the athlete too. She runs and lifts and
yeah, she's a world champion also. She won the world champion in Las Vegas in 2012 bench press.
Yeah.
And has the state record still today after 7 years for the state of Alabama deadlift record.
Good
still
God.
Stands.
Okay. What Martha C has one question, Tom, if you could answer that.
For lower back pain?
Yeah.
Now that's a really hard one because that's kind of where I have mine too. But I tell you what I do. At the gym, and unless you go to a gym, there's a machine. It's a back machine. You sit in it. You sit down. Where am I? Where's this camera? Where's that?
Yeah. And
you just lean back. Now, this is what I would suggest at home. I would stand up in the middle of the room, spread your feet out a little bit, and bend slowly to the ground and try to touch the ground. Your feet spread out a little bit. Try to touch the ground. And come up and down 6 or 8 times. Just get that, because your spinal erectors, the muscles in your back, from your hip to your ribs, there are no bones supporting you. The only reason you're up in the air is because those muscles are strong enough to hold you. So you got to develop those things. Now, other people at the gym, they'll take a little weight and hold it behind their head, and they're called good mornings. They'll lean forward as standing up, and you'll feel those muscles. If you reach back a few muscles, and you lean back and forth on your lower back, just like that. And the other thing, which has surprised a lot of people, your lower back is supported and is increased in strength and everything by doing stomach work, core work, by doing planking is part of your core, your front and your back. Also, some light sit-ups. Don't hold your head and jerk forward. Hold your hands in front of your chest like this, and just if you can do 3 or 4, just put your feet underneath the couch, and your back and your stomach are your core, and they go together. If a guy at the gym says, "Man, my back's killing me," well, what are you doing for your stomach? First thing I ask him, what are you doing with your stomach? Are you doing stomach exercises or not? And they go, "Well, no, I don't. My back hurts." Well, you're an idiot stick because you're doing it the wrong way. They go together. That's how that works. You got to do stomach exercises to support your back. You do back to support your stomach, and it's all core to hold yourself erect in the air. When you see a person that's not necessarily have to be old, but they're in a hump, they're kind of bending like this, there are a lot of issues with that. It's not always just muscular, it's skeletal sometimes. If a woman's got a bad back and weaker bones, but lifting weights also increases the density of your bones.
Absolutely.
So, but just movement. And if you did, I would say 15 minutes a day of light movement, your stomach, your back, easy twist. Now, a lot of people you'll see on TV, they do a hard twist, trying to crank their back. Just a light twist, and turn your head with it. Don't try to keep your head straight. Just turn slowly. Just like it, because you're kind of stretching your back and your core, and all those little muscles are all together, and you're trying to get them spread out a little bit. Just a little stretch, just like you see somebody stretching, a little baby in the morning when they wake up, they stretch real hard. Well, same thing. You stretch a little bit, and you stretch to the left, and just very carefully like that. Within a couple weeks, you'll feel quite a bit of different, I think.
Well, thank you, Tom. I know everybody enjoyed that. I already feel better. I did a few things while he was talking.
Hey, somebody has something. 4 drops of something. What is that?
4 drops of.
They want to know your regimen before you go to the gym.
Oh,
Pardon me?
They want to know your regimen before you go to the gym.
Okay. Before I go to the gym, I usually take a couple Ninja, and I take a protein drink with the Young Living protein. 1 big, huge scoop of that before I go, and I take one after it, also some Ninja on the way back home, when I get home also. I've read a lot of things where they say, you should nourish your body after the gym. Well, I do before and after. Okay. And while I'm at the gym, I stay hydrated. I probably drink, I won't say a half a gallon, but I think I drink probably more than a quart of water while I'm working out, because it's a huge part of your whole body. The digestive system, muscles, all that stuff. Just very important.
He has to be a silver. They have to be silver to be able to afford the products that they use.
Yeah. Well, they're just the best. It is absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
That without these Young Living products, I could not compete at this level at my age. Because actually, this is kind of a funny little statistic. I have done more weight in competition the last 2 years than I have my entire life. What's happened is I'm as strong now as when I was 30. I'm not any weaker whatsoever, which is hard to believe because I look like I'm 80. But when I get up on the stage, I can do whatever weight I want. And
I saw it.
I set 4 world records in the last 6 months. So
I saw it.
For an old guy, that's pretty good.
Well, for any guy, that's good. Thank you, Tom. You're never a disappointment. Now, you knew you wouldn't be tonight. He covered the bases really good. I'm gonna wrap up with just a couple of things.
Okay, she wants the oil list again.
The what?
Somebody wants the oil list again.
Okay. Can you post it?
Well, Laura probably can. I can't.
Yeah. Let Laura type it out.
Laura will post it. Laura will post it.
Yeah, let her type it out and post it.
I think I typed it in. If he can read the comments and see if I was right.
Oh, I can't get the comments to come up. Where? I can't find the. Well, maybe it's under more. Chat. Here we go.
Sheila wrote peppermint.
Here we go. Got it here. So Tom, look at that.
Let's see. Peppermint. Sacred Frank.
Oh wait, it went away. Let me get back to it.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay, peppermint,
sacred frankincense.
I'm reading. Just look. Clove, citrus fresh, lemongrass, lemon, cedarwood, clary sage, mister, eucalyptus, and diffuser.
Woo. Okay, you left out lemon. There's lemon and lemongrass. I think you got all the rest of them.
Yeah, lemon's great for a detox. I take that every day also.
All right, let me talk about just for a minute a couple of supplements and a couple of other things that we have at Young Living that is specific for joints, okay? And of course, that's BLM and Agiles, okay? I'm not going to have a time to go into all the ingredients in those products, but let me tell you what they coincide with. They coincide identically with what the American Association of Orthopedic Medicine says that your joints need for joint health. Gary Young didn't come in on a turnip truck. He knew exactly what the joints needed. He did his research. He did his homework. Then he found that ingredient in nature and put it in a bioavailable supplement so that you would get 80% of everything that went into your mouth. He first did BLM and then he added Agiles. Okay, those are the 2 big supplements. You also need to think about, especially if you're a woman, Calcium Plus, Cal Plus. If you're not doing a multivitamin, then Master Formula should probably be added to your daily routine. And balsam fir, copaiba, what else? Frankincense. There's frankincense powder in both Agiles and BLM, and that powder has found to be extremely nourishing to your joints. So those are all big things. There are two joint balms that Gary put together himself. They're different formulas. There's Joint Balm 1 and Joint Balm 2. I'll try to get both of those posted. I have them here. Of course, I'm not going to try to pull them up because I might lose all you. But I will post both of those in Oils Away, if not tonight, first thing in the morning. We're gonna leave on a note of this. When joints become damaged, okay, the rehabilitation is number one, long and painful, and it's never like it was to start with. And many people think, oh, I'm gonna replace this joint. Metallic, whatever joints will never replace the joint God gave you. You can take it, it may work, you may have less pain, but your body is continuously dealing with, and you're not going to hear an orthopedic surgeon say this, but I'm going to say it, with the rejection of that implant. If it's not supposed to be there, your immune system is saying, what the heck is this thing? You know, I tell Carrie Hill that, as most of you know, he got a knee in November. We put it off. He had some orthopedic surgery. He had it scraped. He had it cleaned. He had it injected. He had it rubbed. He had it essential oiled. He had everything. And finally, he said, I got to do this. And when he finally said that, I knew he had to do it. Don't ask him. Would he do it again? It's not easy. And because y'all know that education is my passion and it's what I do, to make this very authentic tonight and so that you know that this comes from my heart, Saturday about lunch, I fell off a pair of wedge, inappropriate sandals. As I was walking through gravel, getting to a creek to watch my grandson learn to fish, I fell off the shoe. Have you ever seen anybody fall and fall and fall and fall? That's what I did. Trying to recover. My core body wasn't what it should have been. It wasn't what it should have been. And I fell for a while. And I rotated my left ankle right on top of my foot. And so for today's class, I have a huge, big, swollen, black foot. So pretty. Hadn't had it x-rayed. Don't think it's bone involved. Don't think it's joint involved because the joints in the foot are flat joints. There's a few metatarsal joints. There's a little movement. But what it is tendons and ligaments that all got bent over sideways and burst blood vessels. And I'm so appropriately coming to you tonight with a big problem in my ankle joint. Praying that, I've rubbed it. Don't say use your oils, okay? I use my oils. If you have swelling, start with some cypress. Start with some cypress, working on the swelling. Swelling causes as much pain as anything, so you got to get swelling out of joints. You do that with ice, okay? Never to your skin, always wrapped in something. Ice, then you're going to do some cypress. You're going to do some helichrysum. You're going to do some cool azul. We have a multitude. I came straight in, hopped straight in, BLM and Agilis, both, double the doses, shooting it to my joint as hard as I could, hydrating as hard as I could. And was it painful? Yes. Yes, it was extremely painful. It's still extremely painful. Did I have to take a medication? Yes. If I'm not transparent, I'm not anything. Yes. The good thing about having to take that pain medication is I hadn't had any in 6 years. So my liver wasn't affected at all. In fact, my grandkids said, we want to come over and watch you take that pill, Grandma. If grandma says she needs a pill, they wanted to be here to see it. This is just like being hit by the bus, hit by the truck, and somebody running out with a peppermint oil. Saturday by 4 o'clock, I didn't want you to talk to me about deep relief, cool azul, peppermint, anything. I needed pain relief. I needed pain relief. So occasionally you have to do what you have to do, okay? Don't kick me out as your leader. It was bad. It was bad. In fact, my little one said, Grandma, I think I saw water come out of your eyes. I'm like, you know what? You very well could have. You know what happens when you're hurt in front of your grandchildren? You do everything you can so that your grandchildren don't know that you're hurt. And so I didn't wail like I wanted to, but she said water came out of my eyes. So I'm working on a joint recovery, people, as we speak, and I'm so happy. The severe, intense pain is gone. I'm icing. It's wrapped. Drew Hill brought me a boot over here. I got Cool Azul. I got Agilis. I got Balsam Fir. I got Copavia. I got everything I need, and I'm going to be fine. I just had to share with you that. And so I hope next week we don't talk about heart attacks. So that I can be authentic for that. But one of the things I'm going to ask you to do tonight, if you will, this is another huge crowd, is shoot me some topics that you would like to hear. We've gone through the cell, the immune system, the respiratory system, the GI system, and now joints. If there's something that you really want to know about, or you'd like for me to bring somebody on here with a great testimony like Tom Gonnering, and or you want me to teach something in particular, shoot me a private message or whatever, and I'll begin to work on it. So thank you. As always, I thank you. I love you. I hope that you've learned something. If we have new people on here, we don't want to scare you to death first time you're on here, but this is what we do, okay? We educate, we train, we help people make decisions for themselves. I'm not saying you need to do anything, sister. I'm saying you got the information, do as you will. That's how we roll in the Oils Away group. But new people have left the classes and signed up week after week after week. So get your new people in here. This is what we're going to do. We're going to let them get in here once. Hear it one time and make a decision. Hear something one time and make a decision. We can't take the whole world in here. But if you got friends, put them in here. I'm available to answer questions tomorrow. And I hope that everybody had a good evening tonight. I certainly did. Underneath this desk, I'm all propped up with my big fat black foot, and I'm gonna be moving in the motorhome. At the end of the week, we're going to be traveling. We're coming to the Gulf Coast, and I guess I'll stick it out in the sunshine maybe, and it'll, take the bruising away. I understand that blood is absorbed through sunlight, and everything I got needs a little sunlight, so I'll be coming your way. Thank you all.